seated. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Moore. What's your current occupation, sir?
Food and operating.
And where's that?
That's the manager. Shepherd.
And just, could you keep your voice up,
Yep.
please?
It's more the microphone will help you with it if you can stay close to that.
Okay, so now where was that where is your current occupation?
Shepherd's Incorporated. Bethel.
Since I'm here. You get a little bit.
And the jurors all here, maybe a little bit more.
Okay, sir. What was your occupation in 2011?
I was unemployed.
Okay, and were you doing anything in particular to supplement your income?
Yeah, selling marijuana.
Do you currently have a case pending in this court, the Litchfield Superior Court?
Yes, I do.
And is that case due to your arrest on September 26, 2014 for sale of drugs?
Yes, it is.
At some point after that arrest, did you get an attorney?
Yes, I do.
And did you enter into a letter of agreement with the state regarding your testimony here today?
Yes.
State's looking for ID.
No objection. You could just identify it for the record, please. It is.
This is a letter of agreement between the state of Connecticut and Brendan Moore dated October 23rd, 2015. I would offer it as a full.
No objection. All right, maybe more full exhibits, so it's 50.
Sir, showing you what has been marked State's Exhibit 50 as a full exhibit, do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
Is that the agreement that you entered into with the state of Connecticut?
Yes, it is.
Going to the second page, do you recognize your signature on that second page?
Yes.
And is that above the name spelled Brendan Moore?
Yes.
And is my signature and the signature of your attorney there as well?
Yes, it is.
What was the date that this agreement was entered into?
10/22/2015.
Now, sir, as a result of entering into this agreement, did you plead guilty to sale of narcotics?
Yes, I did.
Was this your first felony conviction?
Yes.
As part of this agreement, did you promise to testify truthfully at any proceedings or hearings or trials related to the facts surrounding the death of Luke Vitalis?
Yes, I do.
And did you promise to continue to cooperate with the state in its investigation related to that incident?
Yes.
In exchange for that testimony, is it your understanding that the state of Connecticut will not make any recommendations to the sentencing court at the time of your sentencing?
That's good.
So as you stand here right now, you have pled guilty to your first felony conviction, sale of narcotics,
Yes.
and you are awaiting a sentencing date.
Yes, I am.
And the state will make no recommendation at all to the sentencing court at the time that you're sentenced.
That's correct.
You face anywhere from 0 incarceration to 15 years incarceration. Is that your understanding?
Yes, it is.
And so you could conceivably get probation or any amount of incarceration up to 15
Yes,
years.
that's correct.
You have not bargained with the state for a particular sentence in exchange for your testimony.
I do not.
And you have no idea what you will receive.
I do not.
Is this the whole agreement? There's no side agreements here?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you have already been incarcerated for this particular charge, the arrest in September of 2013 for 8 months before the main bond. The bond that you made, was that in March, on March 10th, 2014?
This was,
And was that the bond that was originally set? There was no change in the bond in exchange for cooperation?
that's correct.
So you have essentially been out on pretrial release since March 10th of 2014,
Yes, I have.
essentially on a probation of sorts,
Yes.
while you're awaiting sentencing.
Yes.
Did you actually speak with major crime detectives regarding this case that we're here for today on the date of your arrest in September 2013?
Yes, I do.
And was that before you got an attorney?
Yes, I do.
And was that before you had any communication with the prosecution in this case? Why did you do that?
I need the help.
And did you continue to cooperate with the major crime detectives even before you entered into any agreement with the city?
Yes, I do.
And did that include giving sworn statements to the police? Sir, who were you living with in 2011?
My wife and my son,
Now, what is your wife's name?
Tanya, Seattle.
Is Seattle her maiden name?
Yes, it is.
And are you currently married to Tanya?
No, I'm not.
Were you legally divorced? In 2011, how old was your son?
2 going on 3.
Now, in the early part of 2011, did you decide that you wanted to purchase a handgun?
Yes, I did.
Did you go to a dealer?
No, I didn't.
Why didn't you go to a dealer?
I wanted to get it faster.
And by faster, what would have taken some time for you to get it?
I understand that there's a process of completing jury taking, things of that nature, to get a firearm.
You just didn't want to go through that.
That's right.
What did you do? How did you go about getting this?
Called around a few friends and asked them if they knew where I could get one. And eventually someone gave me a phone number.
And what did you do?
I called the gentleman and he made arrangements to meet
Where did you meet, sir?
the parking lot of Home Depot and Lowe's Theater,
Where was that? What city?
Denver.
And did you take anyone with you?
Yes,
Who was that?
Matt decided.
How did, what happened next?
I got there first. The gentleman pulled up next. I got in his car. He showed me the gun. I asked him if it was a clean gun. And he said it was. I asked him how much one was worth. He said $350. I gave him the money. Got out of the car, got in my car and left.
What kind of gun was it?
From Ruger 40 caliber, excuse me.
And was it a handgun?
This was
What color was it? How would you describe it?
black and grayish silver.
And what, if anything, did that handgun come with?
And 2 magazines, quick reloader, case, and a manual for it.
Did that gun have a serial number on it?
No, no,
What happened? What, if anything, did you notice about the serial number?
It was scratched off.
So it was visibly scratched.
Yes.
And did the carrying case have a serial number? And you understand that would have been illegal for you to
Yes.
purchase them? How long did this transaction take?
No longer than 10 minutes.
Sir, first showing you what has been marked State's Exhibit 45. Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do. Yes.
What do you recognize that item to be?
It's exactly like what I purchased.
And is this the carrying case you're talking about?
Yes.
Did the carrying case that you purchased on that night have the Ruger emblem and name on the outside of it?
Yes, it did.
Was this gray stuff on it?
No.
So it's just plain black.
That's right.
And did the interior of the case look just like this, other than the gray material?
Yes, it did.
Where would the gun have gone in this case?
Right there.
And when you talked about the magazines, where would they have gone?
Down here, and there.
And when you talk about the ammo loader, where would that have gone?
Right there.
And is that in fact where those items were when you purchased the firearm on that night?
Yes.
Showing you next what's been marked State's Exhibit 46. Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
It's exactly like what I purchased. It came in the carrying case.
Okay, what is this?
The magazine.
And does this, did the magazine that you purchased that night have the Ruger emblem in the bottom of it, just like this?
Yes, it did.
And did it also have a notation, 40 S&W on the side, SR40?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked State's Exhibit 47. Do you recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
It's the ammo loader.
And does that look just like the ammo loader that you purchased that evening?
It's exactly like it.
Would there come a time, sir, when you went shooting with this gun?
Yes.
And when was that, roughly?
August 2011.
Where did you go shooting with it?
Shooters in New York, Connecticut.
And what is shooters?
It's New Firearm Range.
Did you shoot this gun with any individuals?
Yes, I did.
Who were they?
Jeff Moss, Steve Patel.
Sir, showing you would have been marked State's Exhibits 48 and 49. Do you recognize those?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
Jeff's signature, Steve's signature, my signature. Jeff had signed my signature on August 13, 2011. My actual signature is August 6, 2011.
So are those the sign-in sheets that you signed when you went to Shooters? And did you go to Shooters with Jeff Moss on August 6, 2011?
Yes, I do.
And you're saying that where the name Brendan is printed, is that
Yes,
your name?
Yes.
Okay, did you sign a signature next to it?
Yes, I do.
And that was referring to States 48. Now referring to States 49. Are the first three names there, Jeff Moss, Brendan Moore, Steve Caprio?
Yes.
Are those are the two people you went with to Shooters on that day?
Yes.
And that date is August 13, 2011?
Yes, it is.
And is this the occasion where Jeff signed your
Yes, it is.
signature? On those 2 days, did all three of you, and Jeff Moss and you on the first occasion, and Jeff Moss and DiCaprio and you on the second occasion, fire the same handgun?
Yes.
And that was the handgun you purchased, that you just talked about?
Yes.
Do you recall if Jeff Moss took anything at the time that he shot the gun?
Into the spent shell.
What do you mean by that?
Got the casing that was fired, that was ejected from the gun after being fired.
Now, sir, did there come a time when you wanted to sell that gun?
Yes.
Was that after the time that you shot it with these gentlemen at Shooter's Pistol?
Yes, it was.
So it was after August 2011.
Yes.
Why did you want to sell the gun?
Me and my wife had sat down and I was going to came to an agreement that I was going to stop selling pot. And we agreed that we both wanted the gun out of the house at the selling time, and we just thought it was best.
At that time, did you know a person by the name of Niraj Patel?
Yes.
And how did you know Mr. Patel?
Through a mutual friend.
What was the nature of your relationship with Niraj Patel?
We do the sale of pot. So I got pot from him once in a while.
Would you recognize Niraj Patel if you saw him today?
Yes.
Do you see him here in court?
Yes, I do.
Would you point him out to the jury about your location in relation to where you're sitting and perhaps an article?
Diagonally to my left, far side opposite of you, glasses on, black and white tie, I believe.
May the record reflect identified this defendant as Niraj Patel in this discussion.
Counsel?
May the record reflect this identified.
No objection. You may so reflect.
Thank you. Did there come a time when Niraj Patel came to your house?
Yes.
And where were you living when Niraj Patel came to your house?
15 Bel Air Drive, Milton, Connecticut.
And did there come a time when you went to Niraj Patel's house?
Yes.
And when was that? Or why was that?
Was to purchase some marijuana,
Where was Mr. Patel?
Queens, New York.
What do you recall about that particular visit?
I remember getting there, walking to the front door, stepping down. There wasn't too many windows in the apartment. I remember him showing me a shotgun in his bedroom, under his bed.
And what do you remember about that shotgun?
I remember the barrel length was short, relatively shorter than normal. Had a pistol grip on it. It was dark in color.
And, 17 of State's Exhibit 44. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
The shotgun that you showed me.
That's similar to the shotgun that Niraj Patel showed you that
It
evening.
looks exactly like it.
Did you have at some point in your life a shotgun like that?
Yes, I did.
So, did that make this more memorable to you?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a conversation with Niraj Patel at the time that he showed you that shotgun?
Yes, I did.
What was that conversation?
I told him I had a firearm for sale, pistol for sale.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Told
Can't
him,
hear. Can you repeat that, please?
I told him that I had a firearm for sale, pistol for sale.
And what, if anything, did Niraj Patel say?
That he was interested.
At some point, did he look at that firearm?
Yes, he did.
When was that?
About 4 days later.
And what happened? Where did he look at it?
My house, Delaware Drive.
And what, if anything, occurred when he came to your house?
Purchased it.
How did that happen?
We were in my kitchen, and I showed it to him. He looked at it. Told him how much I wanted for it. He gave me the money.
And did he leave that day with the handgun?
Yes.
Did he buy anything else beside the handgun?
Just what came with it in the case.
Okay, so what did he leave with that day, Mr. Moore?
The case, the firearm itself, 2 magazines, and the ammo loader.
Was there anyone present when you sold that gun to Niraj Patel?
My wife at the time,
Tanya Sianta?
yes.
Were you still married at the time that you sold the gun to Niraj Patel?
Yes, it was.
Did there come a time when you separated from your wife, Tanya?
Yes.
When did you and your wife separate?
January 2012.
And when the two of you separated, did anyone move out of the house?
She moved out.
So in January 2012, you separated from your wife, Tanya, and she moved out of the house.
Yes,
And who maintained custody of the son?
she did.
So she took your son with her.
Yes.
Did you sell the gun to Niraj Patel prior to your separation with your wife in January 2012?
Yes, I did.
And that gun was a Ruger 40 caliber.
Yes.
Did there come a time when you spoke with Jeffrey Moss about this gun?
Yes.
Now, as a result of that conversation, what, if anything, occurred?
Told him that he had a spent casing every time that we were out shooters.
And what happened? What happened next?
He brought it to me in a plastic bag, and he gave it to me.
States 51 for ID.
Sir, prior to testifying here today, did you review a disc of photos related to that casing?
Yes.
And were those photos accurate depictions of the casing that Mr. Moss gave you?
Yes, they were.
I don't have these 3 photos that we were on.
No. The remarks for exhibit, stage 51.
screen?
Yes, I am.
Showing you what has been marked designated photo 1 of State's Exhibit 51. What do you recognize that to be?
That is the spent casing. We shot shoot. Excuse me.
Okay, just try and keep your voice up, please.
That's the spent shell that we shot. With the drum shooters.
And is that the shell casing that Jeffrey Moss gave you?
Yes, it is.
And that was a shell casing from the gun, the Ruger 40 caliber handgun
That's correct.
that you had just described to the jury.
Yes.
Showing you what's been designated photo 2 of State's Exhibit 51. Is that a close-up of that casing?
Yes, it is.
And now showing you what's been designated photo 5 of State's Exhibit 51. Is that also a close-up of the bottom of the casing?
Yes, it is.
Is there anything particular about that casing that made you recall it?
Yes, there's a mark by the W, that's the W.
And is that the mark that I'm designating with my hand
Yes, it is.
for the record at about 1 to 2 o'clock
That's
on
correct.
that casing?
Yes, it is.
What did Mr. Moss gave you the casing?
Yes, it is.
And how did he give it to you?
Drove to my house and handed it to me directly.
And was it in anything?
It was in the plastic bag that you see there.
Now, what did you do with that casing once you received it?
I called my lawyer, just to let him know that I had it. Met with my lawyer and two detectives at this courthouse, and it was over to them.
And when the detectives took that casing from you, did they put it in a particular type of packaging?
Cardboard box, the bottom was lined with bandage gauze.
States 52 for ID.
Sir, prior to testifying here today, did you have occasion to review a photo related to the type of packaging that this casing was placed into in your presence?
Yes,
And was that photo an accurate depiction of the casing in the box?
yes it was.
It offered as well.
Okay. Any more photos? States 52?
For the record, there are multiple photos on this disc. I'm going to be showing the second photo on it, but the other photos will come. I'll be offering later, at a later time. Sir, showing you what has been designated photo 7 of State's Exhibit 42. Do you recognize, 52. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
The shell and the packaging that the detectives put the shell in.
That was on the date that you provided that shell casing to the detectives in this court.
That's correct.
Did there also come a time time when you had a conversation with another friend named Dan Roy about the same handgun.
Yes.
And as a result of that conversation, what, if anything, did you tell Western District Major Crime Detectives?
That he had a slug that he got from when we had fired the .40 caliber into a book. It stopped halfway. He had extracted that from the book and saved it.
And was that a time when you had fired the handgun with him?
That's correct.
Where was Dan living at the time that you told the detectives this?
Vermont. Things were in North Carolina where he actually looked for a slum between Vermont and North Carolina.
Now, at some point after you and your wife separated, did you move from the Bel Air address in New Milford to another address?
Yes, I did.
What address was that?
Boston Place in New Milford.
And was that a condo?
Yes, it is.
What was the name of the condo?
Boston Farms condominium.
And that was in New Milford?
Yes.
Approximately when did you move to that new location?
3 to 6 months after my wife at the time had moved out of that.
Now, drawing your attention to about a week before you got arrested for the drug sale charges on September 26, 2013, did there come a time when you met with Lisa Calabrese?
Yes.
And who is Lisa Calabrese's brother? Michael Calabrese. Is that the same Michael Calabrese who is facing charges related to the death of the Patels?
Yes, it is.
Now, did there come a time when Lisa Calabrese initiated a conversation with you?
Yes, she did.
What did you ask Lisa Calabrese during that conversation?
The firearm I had sold, Niraj, was the one that was used in that murder.
You asked Lisa Calabrese that.
Yes, I did.
If the firearm that you sold in Niraj was the one used to kill the Patels?
Yes.
And were you living at Boston Place in Milford when you had that conversation with Lisa Calabrese?
Yes, it was.
By the way, where were you on August 6, 2012?
American Valley Hospital.
And what is that?
It's a treatment facility, rehabilitation center.
And how long had you been there?
Close to 2 weeks at that time.
And what was that a part of?
It's a 45-day program. Coordinated.
Was that a residential program?
Yes, it is.
And what does that mean?
It said I could not leave the premises and I could stay there for the entire 45 days.
Were you successfully discharged from that program on or about August 31st, 2012?
Yes, I was.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross? Yes. Morning, sir. So, as I understand it, you developed an addiction to heroin,
Yes.
and was that addiction, was that in connection with Lisa Calabrese? Was she also addicted?
I believe so.
In other words, you would do heroin together?
No, not together.
Huh?
No, not together.
She would do her heroin, you do your heroin, right? Where'd you get the heroin?
Mutual friend.
Who was that?
True.
I'm sorry, you have to keep it.
True.
True. Now, who's True?
The guy that we got our stuff from.
I'm sorry?
The gentleman that we got our stuff from.
Okay, can you describe him for us?
Objection, Robbins.
It's relevant.
Oh, I'm testing his recollection.
Let's just stand here. Next question.
I'm sorry?
Next question.
Sir, you lived in New Milford for how many years?
Almost all my life.
I'm having a hard time hearing, I'm standing right here.
Almost all my life.
Okay. And where did you live in New Milford? Various addresses.
Bel Air Drive. Boswick. 4 days.
And you've sold other guns, haven't you, over the years? This is not the only gun you ever sold.
No, I have not.
I'm sorry?
No, I have not.
Any person in Florida that you might have been involved with guns? And actually, you never sold the gun to Niraj, did you?
Yes, I did.
You owed him money for marijuana, right?
I owed him money, yes.
And instead of, how much did you owe him?
Hard for me to really remember.
$600?
Yeah.
You read your statement before you took a stand, right?
Yes.
All right. Remember in your statement what you said about your transaction about the gun with Niraj?
Yeah.
And what did you say?
That he purchased it over me.
Did he give you any money, sir?
Yes, he did.
I thought he forgave a debt you owed him of $600.
No.
That's not true.
No. As a matter of fact, I
I'm
believe.
sorry?
As a matter of fact, I believe to this day I still owe him.
How many statements have you given in this case, sir? Signed statements.
I don't know exactly the exact number. I'd say more than 2. 3.
Just looking for something here. May I just have a moment?
Yeah.
We'll get back to it in a second. But in any event, whether it was for, whether he gave you money or not, you sold the gun to Niraj.
Yes.
And about when was that?
That was between the time that I went to Shooters, August 6, 2011.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It was between August 6, 2011 and January 2012 when me and my wife had split.
Okay. And did you meet Michael Calabrese through your friendship with Lisa, or how did you meet Michael?
Yeah. Yes.
Through your relationship with Lisa?
Yes.
I mean, do you have a romantic relationship with Lisa?
No.
When was the first time you met Michael Calabrese?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Well, let's try this out. Did you know Michael Calabrese before you sold the gun to Niraj?
No.
Did you meet Mr. Calabrese after you sold the gun to Niraj?
Yes,
And when you met him, was he doing heroin?
I believe so.
And Lisa was doing heroin,
Yes,
and you were doing heroin.
yes.
And so when you met Michael Calabrese, well, let me ask you this. Did you ever sell a gun to Michael Calabrese? Any gun?
No,
Did you ever see him with a gun?
no,
Did you know whether or not he had a gun? Or did you know Brittany Caldwell?
no,
Did you know whether or not Mr. Calabrese had a gun in a heating vent in a condo that he lived in with Brittany Caldwell? Did you know whether or not Mr. Calabrese had a gun in a toolbox
no,
in Brantford?
no.
Now, referring to exhibit, State Exhibit 40-1, transcript of the conversation that Mr. Calabrese had with the jail with Mr. Early. Did anyone ever show you that transcript before you took the stand here today?
No, it's-
Page 16 of the transcript. From the inmate, Mr. Early. What kind of 40 was it? Answer, Ruger. The inmate, Ruger, that shit is tough. Calabrese, black and chrome. Inmate, Early, black and chrome. Calabrese, yeah, bought it fucking brand new. Inmate, where'd you get it from? Calabrese, fucking this kid down in New Milford. Inmate, black Ruger, black and chrome Ruger 40. There was like blood all over the walls.
Objection, argument.
I'm reading to you.
I know you are, but what's the question?
I get to it.
Well, why don't you ask the question?
This excerpt I just read to you, was it ever brought to your attention by the prosecutor's office?
No,
And is this the first time you've heard this question, the exchange between the inmate and Mr. Calabrese?
this is,
And what you're saying is, I believe you're saying, this is not true.
it's an absolute lie.
Absolute lie by Mr. Calabrese.
This is,
It's a liar.
Objection.
So you probably say,
Just a motion.
all right. Now, when you sold this, I'm going to show you your statements. Have you look at it.
Objection, there's no question pending.
Okay. Watch out. Did you give a statement to the police on September 26, 2013?
I could have, yes,
Have you read it before you took the stand today?
I might have,
I'm sorry?
I might have.
All right. May I approach here?
For what purpose? Counsel, for what purpose?
I was going to ask a question showing the statement.
You can ask him the question, but the document's not evidence, so
Well, I know, but...
let's call
All right,
it.
okay. Sir, did you tell the state police at any time that you gave the gun the Ruger to Niraj Patel, and that he forgave a $600 debt that you owed him for marijuana. Did you ever tell the state police that?
I might have at one time,
I'm sorry?
I might have at one time said that
You may have said it.
the debt and money, part of the debt was forgiven and money was given.
Did you, when you gave the gun to my client, did you owe him $600 for marijuana?
Yes, sir.
And when you met with him concerning this gun, did you ask him to take the gun in exchange for forgiving the $600 debt? Did you tell the state police that in writing?
Not the entire debt. I also wanted money from him. He gave me money for it.
All right, did you tell the state police that?
If it's in testimony,
Is it in the statement, sir?
yes.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the statement as far as what you told the state
Counsel,
police?
you didn't say you had a failure of recollection.
Are you sure of that, sir?
Yes.
Well, then let me show you your statement dated 9/26/03.
Counsel,
Objection.
will we follow procedure, please?
I'm going to follow, I'm your
No, you're not. Don't show the document that is not in
No,
evidence.
Your Honor, I'm going to introduce it.
All right.
I'm going to
Show
show
that
it.
it should be marked first.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Attendance A Friday.
Sir, let me show you what's been marked for A. Defendant's exhibit A for identification, and I'm going to ask you if that bit there is your signature. That's page 1, right? And what is it, if you go down to page 2, does that bear your signature?
Yes, it does.
And if you go down to page 3, does that bear your signature?
Yes.
And does that document that page 2,
Two is actually.
page 2, this paragraph here, read that to yourself. Does that,
Counsel, what are you doing?
excuse me,
Are you offering this as an exhibit?
yes,
All right.
It's hearsay. I don't understand that there was a failure of recollection
No, it's
established.
being offered as a full exhibit.
It's hearsay.
it's stated by the witness.
No, side row, please.
Did you say to the state police in your statement, on page 3, about 4 days later, Niraj Patel came to my condominium in New Milford because I owed him about $600 for weed. When he came over, I had his money, but I asked if he would take the gun instead because I wanted it out of the house. Niraj looked at the gun and agreed to take the gun instead of the money I owed him. I sold Niraj the gun, the gun case, 2 magazines, and the owner's manual. I did not have any ammunition to give him because I did not want any ammunition in the house with the gun. I think I gave the gun to Niraj in December of 2011 because I had stopped selling weed that month, and my wife wanted the gun out of the house at the same time because of my son. I just wanted the house to be safe, and I did not want to be involved in selling weed anymore. Now,
Your Honor, I'm sorry, it's just page 203.
Yes.
Three.
Page 2, yeah.
Page 3.
Page 2.
Page 2, I guess. All right.
And so the question is, did you say it?
Yeah, did you say?
Yes.
Was it true?
At the time, I gave that statement to the best of my knowledge. Having more time to think about the situation, it's not the truth in its entirety. But at the time, I gave my statement to the best of my knowledge. And no, money was given.
I'm sorry?
Money was given.
And at the time you gave the statement, were you using heroin?
Did I give that statement? No.
This is dated 9/26/13.
Was I using heroin
Yeah.
when I gave that statement? No.
I mean, I don't mean when the date you gave the statement, but around that time period. Were you using
Before that day, yes.
Now, sir, among the items you sold to Mr. Patel, there was obviously the gun, right?
Yes.
The gun case,
Yes.
the magazine,
Yes.
the loader,
Yes.
and manual.
There was a manual that I had for it. Yes.
Okay, where did you get the manual from?
And it came with when I
When the fellow sold the gun to you, the Danbury, he gave you those items.
yes.
Now, you told us about going to my client's residence in New York, right?
Yes.
Was that in Queens?
Yes.
And when you walked into the place, did you see a African-American individual?
Yes.
And was he packaging marijuana?
Yes, it was.
And what kind of packages were those? Were those
Um,
dime bags or what?
called gram bags.
Gram bags?
Mhm.
And do you know how many gram bags there might have been around the house that you observed?
More than 75.
Because Niraj, of course, was selling marijuana, right?
Correct.
And many times he sold to you.
I wouldn't say many times, but a few.
So,
Reread?
Did you have occasion to speak with your wife, Tanya Ciato, more about the sale of the gun, your sale of this gun to Niraj Patel?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did you recall that it wasn't a flat-out trade for dead over?
Yes.
In fact, as a result of that conversation and the recollection of your wife being present, she said it was for money and part of your debt
That's correct.
being forgiven.
Yes.
Nothing further.
where's your wife live now? Florida?
She lives in Connecticut.
Where?
Connecticut?
You know her address?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
40 Burnham Road, New Milford, Connecticut.
In where?
New Milford, Connecticut.
Thank you, sir. Ready to approve?
No, Your Honor. Yes. State calls Jeffrey Moss to the stand.
and address for the record?
Jeffrey Moss, MOSS, 137 California Road, number 2, in Milford, Connecticut, 06776.
Please proceed. Mr. Pursuit.
Thank you, Honor. Mr. Moss, how are you currently employed?
I work at Kent Pizza Garden.
And do you have occasion to know a person by the name of Brendan Moore?
Yes,
What's your relationship with Mr. Moore?
he's a friend of mine.
How long have you known him?
12 or 13 years.
Did you have occasion to go to the shooter's indoor pistol range with Mr. Moore?
Yes,
How many times, sir?
twice.
And when you were present at that range, did you sign a sheet?
Yes,
Showing you states exhibits 48 and 49, do you recognize those documents?
yes.
What do you recognize those to be, sir?
The sign sheet from Shooters, and with my name on it, and my signature.
Okay. On the exhibit marked 48, on the column to the left, how many down is your signature?
It's the second one.
And on the exhibit marked 49, in the column to the left, how many down is your signature?
It's the first one.
Did there come a time when you also signed in for Mr. Moore?
Yes, on this one you showed me, dated the 13th. I signed in for them.
And that's State's Exhibit 49.
Yeah.
Was there another person present with you and Mr. Moore on August 13, 2011?
Yes, our friend Steve Gabriel.
And is his signature also noted on that sign-in sheet on State's 49?
Yes,
Where is that, sir?
the third one down.
Were these the only two times that you went to Shooters with Brendan Moore?
Yes,
And did you bring a firearm?
no,
Which firearm did you shoot?
Brendan's firearm,
And what was that?
40 caliber Ruger, I believe.
And was it a handgun?
Yes,
What, if anything, did you keep from one of the days that you shot that gun with Mr. Moore?
I kept the shell casing.
And how is it that you came to get that shell casing?
After I had shot, I picked it up off the floor.
Okay, and how did you know it was the casing from the gun that you fired?
It was still warm to the touch.
Was there anyone firing around you at that time?
No,
And what did you do with that casing?
I kept it. I put it in a box with various memorabilia.
Now, drawing your attention to March 21st, 2015, did you have a conversation with Brendan Moore about the times that you were at Shooter's pistol range shooting this gun with him?
I did.
And what did you tell Mr. Moore?
I had said that it might be a possibility that I had kept a shell, and I would look for it.
And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went and I looked through different things where I keep my memorabilia, and I found it.
And what did you do once you found it?
I put it in a plastic bag, and I went over and took it to Brendan.
Now, what color was that casing?
It was a gold color.
And what, if any, marks were on it?
It had R&P, 40, S&W.
see the screen from where you sit?
Yes.
Okay. What do you recognize the photo on that screen? Showing you what's been marked designated photo 1 of State's Exhibit 51. What do you recognize that to be, sir?
A shell casing in a plastic bag.
Okay, and is that the shell casing that you gave Mr. Moore?
Yes,
Did you have occasion to review these photos prior to testifying today?
I did.
Okay, was there anything distinctive about that shell casing?
Aside from the RP, 40 cal S&W, not really.
Okay,
Just
you gave it to him in the bag just like
gave it
that?
to him in the bag.
Does this appear to be that shell casing, sir?
I can't see completely.
You want to step down?
I can see from here. I just couldn't see. Yes, it appears to be.
And is this an accurate reflection of the stamp
Yes.
on the end of it?
Yes.
R-P, 40 S&W.
Yes.
Do you know what Mr. Moore did with that after you gave it to him?
From my understanding, it was taken to Detective Finale. And
That was made by a crime detective.
Right, Major Crime Detective Finale, and he processed it.
Nothing further.
Any problems?
No question.
Okay, so you can step down.
State calls Thomas Whitcomb to the stand.
Yes.
Thomas Whitcomb to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the record.
Thomas Whitcomb, W-H-I-T-C-O-M-B, 359 Wellsville Avenue, New Milford, Connecticut.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Whitcomb, good morning. How are you currently employed, sir?
I own a gun shop, Visitano Valley Firearms,
And where's that gun shop located, sir?
331 Kent Road, New Milford, Connecticut,
How long have you owned Housatonic Valley Firearms?
since June of 2005.
And so that would necessarily encompass the time period of August 2010.
Yes,
Prior to coming here to testify, did you review paperwork related to this case?
yes I did.
Did you have occasion to sell a Mossberg 500A 12-gauge shotgun to one Thomas Ochia, date of birth 12/9/85?
Yes I did.
Do you, in the normal course of your business, complete paperwork for every firearm sold?
Yes I did.
And did you complete paperwork for the sale of this particular firearm?
Yes I did.
Did you do so at your time of the sale?
At the time of set.
States 53 for ID.
Sir, showing you what's been marked States Exhibit 53 for ID, a 3-page document. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that to be, sir?
Federal Form 4473 that's filled out at the time of purchase of the firearm.
And was this the pages of the paperwork that you filled out regarding the sale of the shotgun to Thomas Poacher?
Yes, it is.
Is that a fair and accurate copy of the paperwork?
Yes, it is. The only exception is lot 36, I corrected the date.
When you say corrected to date, we have 8/6/10 there. What did you do?
I changed it to 8/7/10. At the time, they asked for a copy of this. They called back and said the date was inconsistent. I checked it. It was supposed to be the 7th instead of the 6th.
I don't think this is a full exhibit.
No.
Any parts of the full exhibit, States 53?
Sir, drawing your attention to page 2. In fact, the person who purchased it did certify the date of 8/7/10.
Correct.
And drawing your attention to page 3, is the serial number of the Mossberg shotgun that was sold on this date noted?
Yes.
And is that serial number noted in the section marked 28 on page 3 of this particular state's exhibit?
Yes.
Is that serial number T274817?
Yes, it is.
And this transaction, again, was for a sale of that particular shotgun to Thomas Pochia on August 2nd, 2010.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further.
Ross?
No.
You said that. Yes, sir.
State calls Thomas Pochia to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or from penalty of perjury. Please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record.
Thomas Moshe, Boccchia, and I live at 209 Kent Road, Kent, Connecticut.
Thank you.
Before you proceed, you proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Pochia.
Good morning.
How old are you, sir?
I'm 30,
What's your date of birth?
12/9/85.
And how are you currently employed?
I work for the Carpenters Union.
In 2012, specifically August of 2000, August of 2011, or 10. Excuse me. Look at my bearings here. August. In August of 2010, how were you employed?
In August 2010, I was employed, I was a snowboard instructor at Mohawk Mountain, and I was also a subcontractor.
Now, drawing your attention to August of 2015, were you using marijuana?
Yes.
Did there come a time when ATF agents, alcohol, tobacco, and firearm federal agents, spoke with you about your knowledge of marijuana dealers?
Yes.
And at that time, did they find you in possession of an amount of marijuana consistent with personal use?
Yes.
And were you arrested at that time?
No.
Did you agree to help them if they needed any assistance regarding the marijuana suppliers that they discussed at that time?
I did.
Did you understand, even though there was no agreement with the ATF officials, that if you assisted to them, they would not arrest you for the personal
Correct.
use of marijuana?
Yes.
Do you use any drugs now?
No.
Sir, do you know a person by the name of Niraj Patel?
I do.
How do you know him?
I've known him for about 11 years now. Started after high school and we met through friends.
And what was the nature of your relationship?
We were good friends. We hung out a lot. And his brother were also friends.
Would you purchase marijuana from him?
Occasionally.
If you, would you recognize him if you saw him again today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see him here in court, sir?
I do.
Would you identify his location and position in relation to where you're sitting and perhaps an article wrote on his back?
He's to my left at the end of the table wearing a straight tie and glasses.
May the record reflect this identify this defendant as Niraj Patel speaking?
So, any further questions?
Sir, in August of 2010, did you purchase a Mossberg 500A 12-gauge shotgun from Thomas Whitcomb, owner of Housatonic Valley Firearms in Milford, Connecticut?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you fill out paperwork to buy that shotgun?
I did.
Showing you what's been marked State's Exhibit 53. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
There was a firearms transaction record that was on August 6th of 2010, or August 7th of 2010, I'm sorry.
And did you fill out, on page 1, there's a biographical information. Did you fill that out yourself?
I did.
And on page 2 of this document, at the very top of the page, is that your signature?
That is
And what did you date that signature as?
August 7th of 2010.
And on page 3 of this document, in the sections marked 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, is that an accurate description of this firearm? Firearm that you purchased?
Yes.
Okay, that's a Mossberg 500A 12-gauge shotgun with a serial number T274817.
Correct.
Sir, are you able to see the screen from where you're seated?
Yes.
Counsel, could you just indicate which exhibit you have on the screen?
I will, thank you, Your Honor. Showing you what's been designated photo 17 of State's Exhibit 44. What do you recognize that to be, sir?
That's the Mossberg that I purchased.
Showing you what's been designated photo 18 of State's Exhibit 44. Do you recognize that to be the brand name stamp on that shotgun?
Correct.
And showing you what's been marked exhibit, designated photo 19 of State's Exhibit 44. Is that the serial number of the shotgun that you purchased?
Yes.
Indicating that that is in fact the shotgun that you purchased from Thomas Whitcomb.
Yes.
And you had an opportunity to review these photos, obviously, before we testified.
I did.
Sir, were you aware of the fact that Luke Vitalis died in August of 2012?
Yes.
Did you know Mr. Vitalis?
Yes, we were acquaintances.
Now, did there come a time when you sold the shotgun that we just described as that which you purchased from Housatonic Valley Firearms?
Repeat the question, I'm sorry.
Did there come a time when you sold that shotgun?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Was that sometime before Luke Vitalis died?
Correct.
Who did you sell that gun to?
Niraj Patel.
How did that occur, sir?
He had called me and asked me if I still had the firearm, and I wanted to sell it. And at the time, I didn't have a job and I needed money, so I accepted his offer and I sold it to him at my house.
Did you ever have occasion, when you sold it to him, did he take the gun right then and there?
He did.
Did you have occasion to see Niraj Patel after that?
I did.
When was the last time that you saw Mr. Patel?
The last time I saw Niraj was at Alex Santel's house.
And what was the nature of your seeing Mr. Patel at Alex Santel's? What was going on?
We were having a small party.
Was there anyone there with Niraj Patel?
Yes.
Who was that?
Michael Calabrese.
And sir, when was that, if you recall?
It was shortly before, I believe it was the day after the murder of Luke Vitalis.
Do you know the date for sure?
August 6th.
Okay. Could it have been before that?
It could have been.
All right. Do you have an idea of the date in particular in your mind?
It was not an exact date, but it was about a week before the murder, if not shorter.
So it's fair to say you don't know exactly when.
Not exactly.
August of 2012?
August of 2012,
All right.
yes.
What, if anything, unusual at that time do you recall making note of yourself?
It was very odd to see Niraj and Mike at the same time, considering Niraj lived in Queens and Michael lived in Brantford, and that Michael was having some drug problems and Niraj had said something about Michael Calabrese having drug problems and that he didn't feel the need to hang out with him. In fact, none of us were really hanging out with him at the time.
So that was a conversation that you had had with Niraj previous to the Alex Santel party?
Yes.
Okay, so Niraj had told you
Quite before.
that he wasn't hanging out with Mike anymore because of his drug issues.
Exactly.
What, if anything, unusual did Mr. Patel and Mr. Calabrese do while at the party?
I had only seen them for all about 10 minutes. We were outside by the pool, and they had shown up, and it was kind of unexpected. I didn't know that they were coming, and I'd seen them for about 10 minutes, and then they disappeared, and I didn't see them again after that.
Did you call Niraj Patel in the early morning hours the day after Luke Vitalis died?
I did.
And why did you do that?
Well, I wanted to see if he knew about the murder.
Was there any other reason, sir?
Well, I wanted to call and see if he was acting strange because I had sold him a shotgun.
And was there a concern that you had, sir?
There was a concern
What was that concern?
that he had used the gun that I sold him
To do what, sir?
to murder Luke Vitalis.
Nothing.
Good morning.
Now, you've agreed to assist ATF in order to not be arrested, correct?
Correct.
And now, when you've done another purchase of a shotgun, is that correct?
Yes.
And when you did that purchase wasn't actually for yourself, is that correct?
Correct.
So it was a straw purchase for someone else, right?
Objection.
Good.
Wait, I told you it's that one.
So, Mr. Poche, when you bought that other gun, you were buying it for someone else, right?
Correct.
So when you filled out the form saying you were buying a gun, you put your name down, right? You have to answer on that.
Yes, I'm sorry.
But in actuality, it was for someone else, right?
Yes,
Now, when you fill out those forms, you sign them,
I
right?
did.
And you're signing them under oath, right?
I did.
But you lied.
I did.
Now, also when you fill out those forms to get a shotgun, you're asked whether or not you're a user of drugs, right?
Yes.
And on those forms, did you say that you're not a user of drugs?
Yes.
But in fact, you are a user, right? Or you were a user at the time, correct?
I can't recall if I was using it or not.
Well, you've been a heavy user of marijuana, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, well, have you used marijuana?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. In about 2011, how often were you using marijuana?
It was recreational.
Was it
I wasn't an avid pothead, quote unquote.
once a month, once a week, multiple times a week?
Maybe once a week.
Okay. But you were using it, correct?
Correct.
And you said on this form, were you using it at the time, either once a week, once a month, at the time you filled out these forms?
Yes.
And yet on the form, you said you don't use marijuana or any drugs, right?
Yes.
Have you used other drugs?
I have before, yes.
Okay, what other drugs have you used?
In high school, I dabbled a little in ecstasy, a little bit of cocaine, but I haven't done that in years.
Were you using any of those drugs at the time you filled out these forms?
No.
Now, going to this party you discussed, you said that Niraj and Mike Calgary showed up and it was unexpected, you said?
Yes.
You weren't expecting it.
No, I wasn't expecting it. No.
But were they weren't uninvited, right?
They weren't uninvited, no. Well, other people weren't suspecting them to come either.
Okay. But it's not like they crashed the party uninvited, right?
No.
You just didn't expect it.
Exactly.
Now, at this party, well, it was Alex Santel's house, correct?
Correct.
And Alex Santel is a user of drugs, right? Or was a user of drugs?
I believe so, yes.
And there were a number of other people
Yes.
at this party, right?
Yes.
And would you say most or all of them were also drug users at the time?
I can't say that for sure.
But Michael Calabrese was a drug user, right?
Yes.
Michael Calabrese was a drug addict.
Yes, he was.
Michael Calabrese was a heroin addict. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, the people at this party, did a number of them use marijuana?
Yes.
So a number of them would purchase marijuana, correct?
Yes.
And as you said Niraj Patel sold you marijuana, right?
Yes.
Now, so Niraj Patel was at this party. There would be other people there that would know about other marijuana dealers, right?
I believe so.
Okay. And so none of the people at the party, they use marijuana, so they know of the marijuana dealers in that area, right?
Yes.
And so they might know who sells a lot of marijuana, and they might know when they sell a lot of marijuana, right?
I guess, yeah.
No further questions.
No, no regret.
Thank you.
State law is already put out to the scene.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or penalty of perjury. Please state your name, spelling your first name, last name, and address for the record.
My name is Niraj Patel, A-A-R-T-I, last name P-E-T-O-N, and I live at 276 East Street. New York.
Please proceed.
Good morning, Ms. Patel. You're soft-spoken, so please try and keep your voice up, okay? How are you currently employed?
I'm a physician assistant at North Presbyterian Northern County Hospital.
And how long have you held that position?
Almost 3 years, 2.5 years,
How old are you now?
27.
And are you licensed as a physician assistant in New York? Could you describe your educational background?
I got my bachelor's at Binghamton University in history, and I completed my master's in physician assistant studies in 2012 at Oxford University.
Do you know a person by the name of Niraj Patel?
Yes, he's my cousin.
I'm sorry, just keep your voice up.
He's my cousin.
And would you recognize him if you saw him again today?
Yes,
Do you see him here in court?
yes.
Could you identify him by location from the position you're seated at and perhaps some other clothing?
To the left of me with glasses and a black suit.
Okay, he's on all
Dead
glasses. So I would ask the record reflect that she's identified the defendant as your cousin, Niraj Patel.
Okay. No objection, the record is so reflected. Please proceed.
Thank you. What is your relationship to a person known as Shyam Patel?
Sean is also my cousin.
And what's his relation to Niraj?
Sean is Niraj's brother.
And Hiral Patel, Hero Patel. What kind of relationship do you have with Hero Patel?
He's also my cousin.
And how is he related to Shyam and Niraj Patel?
Cousins also.
Now, Ms. Patel, where were you residing in September of 2012?
I don't know the exact address. I think it was 220-43 93rd Road or 222-40 93rd Road.
Okay, and where was that?
It was in Belrose, Queens,
New York.
New York.
So Belrose is a suburb of Queens.
Queens.
And where was Niraj Patel's residence in September of 2012?
In Sunnyside, Queens, New York.
A different suburb of Queens. And do you have a sibling?
I do have an older brother. His name is Sugata Patel.
And where was Sugata Patel living at the time?
He was also living in Sunnyside or Woodside. It's like a section near Niraj's apartment.
Okay. So that in September of 2012, your brother Sugata was living in close proximity to Niraj Patel in Queens, New York.
Yes.
Did you and your brother Sugata socialize with Niraj at that time?
Yes, we would see each other about every third or fourth weekend in the month.
Okay. And why was that? What kind of socializing did you do?
Well, we lived close to Manhattan, so we would go out and hang out with each other.
Did you also attend family gatherings as well? Did there come a time in the middle of September of 2012, as you recall, when Niraj Patel came to your apartment in Queens?
Yes.
Could you explain the circumstances there?
It was in the middle of September 2012. Niraj had come over to drop off earrings that I had left at his apartment before. He knocked on the door, he didn't call before coming, and said that he wanted to drop off my earrings. And then after, he asked if he can drop off some of Leo's things, because his parents were coming into town and they didn't know about Leo.
Okay, now who was Leah?
Leo was Niraj's girlfriend at the time.
And was there an issue with Niraj's parents finding out about it?
Yes, I think it would have been abused for cultural reasons.
She was not Indian.
She was not Indian.
And so what, if anything, did Niraj leave at your apartment?
He left a black bag that was knotted at the top, so closed off, that he put in the back of the closet in my room.
Okay, and what did he say was contained in that bag?
Leah's things.
So is that like a, you said it's knotted, what kind of bag is that?
Kind of like a garbage bag that you would put leaves in, a large garbage bag.
Now, how long roughly was that bag there before you started talking to Niraj about taking it out?
I had told Niraj that I was moving at the end of the month to a new apartment, so sometime before then he can come and get me.
And you said you were moving to a new apartment at the end of the month. When was that? When was your move?
October 1st, 2020.
So this bag was there on for a short period of time, and you were saying, I'm moving, take the bag. And did he take that bag?
No.
Did he take the bag before you moved to your new apartment?
No.
What did you do with that bag when you moved?
I brought it to the new apartment.
And did you look inside it? Where was your new apartment?
55-06 111th Street.
Was that?
Corona, Queens.
Okay. So Corona is, again, another neighborhood that's in Queens. Okay. And what did you do with the bag when you got it to your new apartment?
I had packed it away with my other things, other belongings in the back of my closet in my room.
When was the next time that you remember seeing Niraj Patel, your cousin?
I saw him on New Year's Eve.
And was that, I'm sorry, was
Did you?
2012.
going into 2013? Okay. And was that unusual that you hadn't seen him previous to that?
Yeah, I usually would see him more often than that.
At that time, did you ask Niraj Patel to do anything?
I said that whenever he can come, I still have the bag of Leah's things if he wants to come pick it up.
And what did he say?
He said he's been busy and he's been meaning to come and get it.
And during the time frames from, say, New Year's Eve, 2012 into 2013, till May or so of 2013, did you see Niraj Patel at all? And was that unusual?
Yes.
Was it very unusual? It's much out of character, given your past relationship. You just had the hands
Yes,
off.
I'm sorry.
Did you continue to talk to Niraj Patel by phone regarding the bag?
I think I had called him once or twice about picking up the bag, but after that, I didn't really reach out to him.
And did you ever look in the bag during that time frame?
No.
And did there come a time when you did have occasion to open that bag?
Yes.
Could you explain how that occurred?
So it was in the beginning of May of 2013. I was starting my new job as a PA, so I was looking for my medical scrubs and other belongings. I remember I was in the back of my closet with everything else I had packed away. And then when I was looking for it, I felt a hard surface, like a hard edge, and I didn't know what it was. So so I decided to open the bag, and it was the bag that Niraj had dropped off.
And what did you find in that bag?
When I had unknotted the bag, I saw a lot of cloth on top, and then once I unraveled the cloth, I saw that it was covering different items. So the first item that I had seen was a vest. It was black on one side and gray on the other side with like an inappropriate decal character on the front or other side of this one.
And what did that vest appear to you to be?
It was bigger than a typical vest, and it had like a cardboard feel, so first instance I thought it was a bulletproof vest.
Did you find other items in that bag?
Yes.
And what did you find?
The second item that I found was a black box. I had opened the box and it had the imprint of a gun and then a long rectangular metal piece, which I can now identify, but at the time I didn't know what it was.
There's a rectangular metal piece within the box?
It was in the box, yeah. And several small gold metal rings that I could identify.
Was there any other item that was in the bag that you uncovered?
Yes, the last item that I uncovered was, when I had opened it, I saw like a long metal barrel, and then it was a gun.
The box that you had spoken of that had the emblem on the outside, what did you recognize that box to be? What did it seem to be?
A pistol box,
And what color was it?
black.
Ms. Patel, showing you what's been marked states 45. Does this look familiar to you? And aside from the gray, what do you recognize this to be? Let's start there.
The pistol, or what I identified as the black box that was
And did it have this white or gray substance on it at the time that you saw it?
No,
It was just black.
black.
Okay, now when you indicated that you saw the logo of a pistol on the outside of the box, is this what you're talking about right here? The Ruger?
I don't remember everything.
You don't remember as you sit here now the name, but you do distinctly remember that there was an imprint on the box,
Okay.
on the outside of the box. And when you looked inside, you said you saw one longer item and some other smaller items. Showing you what has been marked states 46. Is this the longer item that you saw in that box?
Yes.
Ms. Patel, showing you what's been marked 47. Do you recall having seen that?
I don't remember seeing that.
Could you have, could that have been in the box?
Possibly, yes. It was a long time ago. I don't know what that is.
Ms. Patel, are you able to see the photograph on that screen?
Yes.
Would you like to step down, or are you comfortable with it?
Yes.
May she step down, Your Honor?
Yes. And just, if you're called on to answer questions, just make sure that there's a microphone that we're close to when you're doing those answers.
Ms. Patel, does that look consistent with the gun that you found in the black bag in your apartment?
I remember the long barrel and the same type of grip on it.
Okay, so when you're talking about the long barrel, you're talking about this section here, as I'm pointing from the center of the picture to the right in the screen. Oh, and actually, I'm showing you, I'm sorry, I'm showing you what's been designated 1706 Exhibit 44. So on photo 1706 44, I'm designating from the middle of the screen to the right, that's the barrel that you're talking about.
Yes.
And the grip, is that, as I'm designating to the leftmost section of the photo,
Yes.
the part where you would hold it on the shoe. Okay, so that is consistent with your memory of your gun that you found in that black bag.
Yes.
You're not a gun person, I take it.
No.
Was this the first gun you'd ever seen?
Yes.
What did you do when you found these items?
Got really scared. I called my brother. Then I asked him to come over right away, but he was at work. He knew that I was scared by my voice, so he asked me if I was okay. I said yes, just come over whenever you can.
And did he come over to your apartment?
He did, yes.
And what did the two of you do?
When he had come, I said something to the effect of, do you know that, remember that bag that Niraj had dropped off of his things? I was looking through it, trying to find my stuff, and I opened it and looked what's inside. And I brought it to my room and the items were laying out.
What happened next?
My brother looked really worried, and then the first thing he said was, don't call Niraj anymore, and don't try to contact him, and don't call Sean anymore either, and I'll take care of it. I'll have him come and take the stuff off.
What, if any, concern did you have about these items in the bag?
Well, I didn't know what to really take from it, because we were thinking it's one thing, and it turns out to be completely different. reached out to my brother, asking him if he got in touch with Shamar Niraj, and afterwards my brother ended up telling me that he
I'm
knew
going to
it was.
object to your statement.
Sustained.
Based upon what your brother had told you, what did you then think? As a result of what your brother told you, what did you think?
I thought it
Object
was,
to that.
Motion to lock forward. Can you tell us what you thought?
I thought it was related to a prior charge that Niraj had in September 2000, past before that.
Okay, was that a drug charge?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, this happens in roughly May or so of 2012, 2013, after the 2012 to 2013 years. Did anyone, Niraj or any family member, come to pick up that bag?
No.
Were attempts made to contact Niraj to pick up the bag on your behalf?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you became aware of the arrests of Niraj Patel, Hero Patel, and Sham Patel in September 2013, the charges associated with the death of the Patels?
Yes. My mother called me sometime in the morning. I think it was the day of the arrest. And she
I'm going
told
to
me,
object to your statement.
Right. Can't testify as to what she told. Wait for the next one.
based upon what your mother, based upon your conversation that you had with your mother, what did you then do immediately?
I called my brother.
And were you able to research these arrests?
Yeah, I searched on Google with their names and the articles from the Waterbury Republican and the Litchfield Times came up.
So, and what did you then do?
And then I called my brother.
Okay, and what did you say to your brother?
I said I was scared that somehow the items that I had in my possession were related to the arrest of my three cousins.
What did you and your brother then do?
He had come over the night after, a couple of nights after, and he said that there was a,
I'm going to object.
Can't testify to what somebody, can't testify to what somebody else told. Let's wait for, we'll take this, carefully, just one question at a time.
Yes, yes. When your brother came over, what did the two of you do with the bag?
there was a gun amnesty program in New York City where you can anonymously drop guns off to a New York precinct. So we decided to do that.
Did you and your brother do that?
We both went together, yes.
And how did you do that?
We searched on the website of which precinct participated in the Guns for Cash program, and it was the 107 precinct close to my apartment. So we drove there on a Wednesday night around 8 o'clock, and I brought the items, but I had discarded the cloth that was in the bag itself, and I put the items in a separate bag.
Why did you put them in the bag?
Well, I was scared that my fingerprints were on the bag itself and on the cloth, and that I would be somehow implicated or in trouble in any way, so I put everything in a new bag.
Did you ultimately turn those items over to the police?
Yes.
And did you give biographic information about yourself to the police?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but then they had asked me my name, so I gave they asked me how I had the items in my possession. And that's when I got really scared, so that it was going to be anonymous. So I told them that I had a party and that it was left there the next day and I brought it in.
But you didn't misrepresent your name to the police?
No,
And they didn't misrepresent your address or any other information that they got from you?
no.
And when you turn those items over, did you turn over all the items? The vest that you found, the pistol box with the items inside, and the gun?
Yes.
Why did you turn them over to the police at all? Why didn't you just hang on to them?
Well, I didn't want to discard them arbitrarily in the garbage. I was scared that it would get in the wrong hands, or a child or someone else might get a hold of the gun especially. And I wanted to do the right thing. And I also wanted to protect my cousin doing it.
This is not an easy thing for you to do today, is it? You have to answer that.
Yes, it's not easy.
Now, did there come a time specifically Can you pass the water?
Okay.
Well, let me back up. When you dropped those items off at the New York precinct, and they asked you where you found them, that wasn't under oath. At that time, that wasn't under oath.
No, it wasn't.
So did there come a time, specifically October 9th of 2015, when the police came to talk to you about these items?
Yeah, I was working at the hospital, and two New York City police officers came. Then they said that they were following up on incidents or something that I had brought in 2 years back. And they wanted to make me write a written statement about it, but I lied and said I had a party, so that's why that's on the statement.
Okay. But that wasn't a sworn statement at that point either, was it?
Not that I know of.
Now, at that point, why, was it the same reason why you didn't tell the police that these were something that your cousin here had dropped off? Same reason as before?
Yes.
Were you scared for your own well-being?
Yes. I was scared that I would be in trouble or implicated and somehow tied into the arrest and the trial that's going on right now.
At some point, the Connecticut authorities contacted you after the New York detectives spoke with you.
Yes, they had come in, they came in after the New York City police had left the next group that came into the office.
Okay, so you met with Connecticut detectives on that same date that the New York detectives stopped at your work to discuss the items.
Yes.
And at some point, did you later give a statement to the sworn statement to the Connecticut detectives regarding how you actually had come into possession of these items?
That day.
No, later on.
Oh, yes.
You talked to an attorney,
Yes.
and you set up an appointment to give a statement.
Yes.
Now, were you concerned about any liability that you might have for lying to the police originally?
Yes, because I I wrote on paper, law essentially.
And did you, after meeting with your lawyer, enter into a letter of agreement with the state of Connecticut regarding any liability that you might have?
Yes.
Page 54 for ID.
Mr. Patel, showing you what has been marked, State's Exhibit 54 for ID, a two-page document. Do you recognize that? Is that the letter of agreement that you signed with the state?
Yes.
Is this a second version because there was a typo in the first version? So you signed this document twice, and it's dated November 6, 2015. Is this an accurate copy of the second one where the typo was taken out?
Yes.
I'd offer this as full.
No. Three marks of full exhibit, that's page 54.
Ms. Patel, in this agreement, did you promise to cooperate fully with the Connecticut authorities and to testify at any trials related to the death of your relatives?
Yes.
And did that include the fact that you would testify specifically about your cousin Niraj Patel's request for you to hold on to this property?
Yes.
Now, in exchange, did, as you understand it, did the state of Connecticut communicate with the New York DA's office and confirm that they were not going to prosecute you for any crimes related to bringing the bag to the proper authorities?
Yes.
And further, that they were not going to prosecute you for any unsworn statement that you had made to the police regarding how you came into possession of these items?
Yes.
And did the state of Connecticut also indicate that, frankly, they didn't feel that there was a crime prosecutable in Connecticut, and therefore they were not going to prosecute you as well?
Yes.
Were you able to review paperwork from the New York City Police Department prior to testifying here today so that you could confirm the date that you turned these items in?
Yes.
And was that that Wednesday that you had indicated, September 25th, 2013?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any cross? Yes.
Good afternoon. Attorney Santos, but that's why, but there's no mic here. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm Attorney Santos, I'm the defense lawyer on Niraj's lawyer. We've never talked.
No,
So what was, didn't the black bag initially go to your brother?
I wasn't aware of that.
I'm sorry?
I wasn't aware of that
What's your brother, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
until after May of 2013.
Okay, so your brother's name is,
Sugar Patel,
and he's in the hallway there waiting to testify?
yes.
Right. So do you know the date that my client gave the bag to your brother? What's your, what's your understanding of the date that he gave it to your brother? Was it in 2012?
Yeah,
It was after the murder. Murder was in August,
yes.
so it was afterward, right?
So, yeah,
Is that your best recollection?
from what I remember.
When did you see it?
When did I see the bag?
Yeah, first time.
September.
Okay, September of 2012, about a month after the homicide?
Yes,
Okay. Now, what was in the bag? The shotgun, right? You testified about it?
yes.
It had nothing to do with the homicide, right?
Objection, speculation.
If you know, do you know?
No, I don't know.
You don't know? Do you know whether or not a Ruger pistol was used to kill Luke Vitalis?
No, I don't know.
All right. And this bulletproof vest, that had nothing to do with the homicide, right?
Cause for speculation.
If you know.
If you know.
I don't know.
All right. There was the Ruger case, right? Right, the gun case, all right. And also, there was some other stuff, but was there a manual concerning a Ruger pistol in that bag? A manual?
Can I ask a question? A paper, like a paper? No, there wasn't a
Yeah.
manual.
You know what I mean by a manual. You want to fix your refrigerator, they got a manual? And-
No,
All right.
not that.
Well, there's no manual on how to operate this Ruger in the bag.
No,
Now, so you had the bag starting around September of 2012, right?
yes.
And at some point, you called my client and says, take this bag away, right?
After New Year's Eve, I had called him.
After New Year's Eve. And he didn't come.
No,
He didn't send anybody to get the bag,
no.
right? Then, did you ask him again?
After New Year's Eve, I had asked him, I don't remember how many times, but maybe once or twice after.
Okay. And did your brother also ask him to come and get the bag?
After May 2013, I
Yeah.
had learned that my brother had asked him to come and get
Was there anything that prevented my client from coming over, picking up the bag, and throwing it in the Hudson River? Anything preventing him?
Objection, calls for speculation.
If you know, well, if there was anything that prevented him.
Was there anything?
Well, I don't know how she did it.
Well, let me answer. Could you have thrown the bag in the Hudson River?
Yes,
Was there anything preventing my client from coming over, getting the bag, and throwing it in the Hudson River?
not that I know of.
Oh. He had the bag in your place to hide the stuff that was in the bag, right?
Yes,
You reached that conclusion eventually.
yes,
All right. But as I say, and you kept it, your brother kept it, and I'm not saying you did anything wrong, so don't take my questions the wrong way. But there was nothing preventing my client from disposing of the bag. Right? Right?
no,
You weren't going to try to stop him. If he came over and said, give me the bag, you weren't going to try to stop him.
no.
Did you know, beginning in August after the homicide, the state police were conducting an investigation of the murder?
No, I
And do you know whether or not, in part of that investigation, they searched my client's parents' home?
didn't know that.
Charlotte?
Just briefly, thank you. Niraj Patel told you that what was in the bag were items belonging to his girlfriend Leah, right?
Yes.
Nothing.
Nothing good. Right, let me step down.
State calls Patel.
Please raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? Please state your name, spelling your first and last name, and address for the record.
Patel, S-U-K-P-T-A, last name A-T-E-L, address is 635 East 9th Street, New York, 10009.
Good afternoon, Mr. Patel. How old are you, sir?
I'm 30 years old.
And what's your current occupation?
I'm a marketing manager at A-Market Media
How long have you held that position?
for about 6 months.
And what's your educational background?
I have a bachelor's in physics and an MBA in marketing.
A bachelor in physics and an MBA in marketing? Could you just keep your voice up? It's hard to hear in this work. Do you know a person by the name of Niraj Patel?
I did, he's my cousin.
And do you also know a person by the name of Sean Patel?
Yes, also my cousin.
And what is Sean and Niraj's relationship?
They're brothers.
And do you also know a person by the name of Hiro Patel?
Yes, also my cousin.
Would you recognize Niraj Patel if you were to see him again today?
I would.
Do you see him here in Webster?
Yes.
Could you identify his location relative to your perhaps our clothing center?
Sure, far left in black suit.
There's 3 black suits, so maybe you're a little bit more particular.
With black and white tie.
I asked if the record reflect his identified. Now, aside from the family relationship, did you have a social relationship with Niraj Patel, your cousin?
I did, yes.
And could you just explain the frequency of contact, what you folks might do?
Probably around once a week or 2 or 3 times a month. We'll these go out and go to bars and restaurants.
So you guys, you hung out together?
Yes.
I'm having a hard time hearing myself.
Very close.
Okay. In fact, did you and Niraj Patel share an apartment at one time?
Yes, we did.
And where was that, sir?
That was in Astoria, Queens.
Astoria, Queens?
That's correct.
When was that roughly time frame?
2009 to 2010.
And did there come a time when you and Niraj Patel ended up having different apartments?
Yes, in 2000, end of 2010, I moved out to graduate school.
And did Niraj Patel remain in Queens in that apartment?
Yes, we remained in the same place.
Where, do you have a sibling, sir?
Yes, I do.
And who's that?
My sister's name is Patel.
And did she also live in Queens in 2012? Or New York City in 2012?
Yes, she did.
Just, in 2012, how close, and let's say August, September 2012, how close in proximity were you and Niraj Patel, your apartments?
About 15 to 20 minute walk.
On the weekend of August 4th, 5th, 2012, were you in Warren, Connecticut with Niraj Patel?
Yes, I was.
And what were you doing there?
We were filming a music video for his girlfriend, Dia.
And where were you filming that video?
It was near their family house in Warren, at a friend's house.
And was that just one day?
That was one day, yes.
Now, did there come a time when your cousin, Niraj Patel, dropped something off at your home after that video was filmed?
Yes. A few days to a week later, he called me and said he dropped something in my apartment.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
He had called me and said he dropped something in my apartment in the closet.
And what in particular did he describe as what he dropped there?
It was just, he said it was a bag of things that he couldn't have at his place right now.
And why did he say he couldn't have them there?
He's saying he was being questioned by police about an incident that happened in town, and they were leveraging something that had happened earlier that month to question him some more.
So as you understood him, he said he couldn't have these items in his home because the police were going to question him about a recent incident in town.
That they were questioning him and other people in town about a recent incident.
And did you ultimately come to discover what that incident was?
Yeah, later that day I saw on Facebook that that homicide had occurred in town.
And when you had said that they were leveraging him to talk by talking about another case, what was that case?
He said he had been riding with his girlfriend a few weeks before late July, and he had sideswiped a police car, and he had gotten arrested because he had cash in for mailing in the car.
But as you understood this conversation, Niraj Patel was talking about getting the items that were in the bag out of his house because the police were going to question him about the second incident, the homicide.
Sure, said yes. He said they were questioning him at that time.
Did Niraj Patel have a key to your apartment?
He did, yes.
So he was able to come and go whenever he wanted to.
Yes, we lived close by, and he helped me move my car for street cleaning.
So you guys were very close.
Yes.
What did, at that time, what did you think was involved? I mean, did you open it up?
Didn't open it up. I thought it was marijuana paraphernalia.
Were you aware of any marijuana use by Niraj Patel?
Yes.
What was that?
He would use it every once in a while.
Did
I
he?
knew he had items.
I'm sorry.
I knew he had marijuana-related items, so I assumed it was that which he couldn't have his house.
Were you also aware that he sold marijuana?
I wasn't aware of that.
And after Niraj Patel dropped that at your house, what did you do?
I didn't.
Related to the bag.
I didn't open the bag. I felt around the bag. I'm not sure what it was, but I felt, a box and a hard substance in there. I contacted him that weekend. He also was in contact with me over phone, text, and in person. I asked him to take the bags in my apartment, and he said he would. And then later he, asked me to kind of get rid of the bag somewhere in different locations.
Okay, so, could you be more specific? You hadn't looked in the bag yet. What did Niraj Patel ask you to do specifically?
So he didn't name any of the items in the bag. He talked to them relative to their size, box, a long object, and he just dumped them in different trash cans or dumpsters.
He told you to, or he asked you to
Yes.
dump these items,
Yes,
and he told you further to dump them in different locations.
that's correct.
How did he describe these items when he spoke with you?
He mentioned something that was long, and he mentioned a box and small things.
And was this over the phone and by text?
Over the phone or text or person combination.
And what did you think of this exchange?
I wasn't sure exactly what was in the bag. She was referring to the item, so, I was a little nervous.
And what, if anything, did you think about Niraj Patel's demeanor at this point? Your own impression?
He seemed, suspicious of things that were going on in his life and a little more worrisome than usual.
How often in this time frame did Niraj Patel call you or text you or otherwise contact you asking you to dispose of these items?
Fairly often, at least once or twice a week.
And when he would text about it, did he also text in Gujarati, Indian?
Yes, he also would text in English, a combination of English and Gujarati.
And when he texted, he would never specifically name what these items were.
That's correct.
Did there come a time when the bag was taken from your bag?
Yes, I was at a class at work, and he called me and said he had taken bags from my apartment.
Okay, and do you recall what roughly the time frame that this occurred?
Late August, early September.
Wait here.
Of what year, sir?
Up to 2020.
So we're within a very short time frame here. You were up in Warren that weekend, the first weekend of August 2012. And two couple days to a week later, Niraj Patel drops his bag off to your apartment. He's telling you to get rid of the stuff that's in it
That's correct.
in different locations.
Yes.
And you're asking him to take the bag.
Yes.
And then late August, early September 2012, he calls in or he contacts you. How does he contact you?
I believe it was by phone.
And he says, I got the bag out of your house.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what if anything did Niraj Patel tell you about leaving some items at Artie Patel's house, your sister's house?
Later, after, about 3 weeks or a week later after that, he said, he texted home that he had dropped some Leah's belongings at his sister's house.
Okay. What did you understand those belongings to be?
I assumed it was clothing because his parents were coming to visit, so the clothing usually was a purchase, so they didn't know it was liquor and possibly her staying there for years.
Well, and did Niraj Patel tell you that, in fact?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so what exactly did he say about needing to get Leah's things out of his apartment?
He said that parents were coming in to help move or to get groceries, he would come into New York often, that he wanted to drop himself off somewhere. And then he's immediately might come to my apartment or something, so it's not years.
Okay. And why did he need to keep Leah's existence away from his parents?
She was an Indian, and they weren't aware that he was dating somebody at the same time, so both those reasons.
So there seemed nothing suspicious about this.
No.
You're a cousin. You thought, I'll help him out with his girlfriend, right?
Sure.
I mean, was that really what you thought was going on here?
When he mentioned that he dropped his sister, yes.
Now, did there come a time when your sister already moved from that apartment in 2012?
Yes, I mean, October 1st, I believe, she moved from her apartment to another apartment in Queens. I can't even, to the new apartment to help her and everything with things with her parents. But she still had back from marriage.
And do you know whether she moved that bag from Niraj to her new place?
Yes, she told me she did.
Now, around this time, how was Niraj Patel acting, in your opinion?
He was having some issues with his girlfriend, and I was kind of go between them a little bit, so he was agitated, he was because of a relationship with his girlfriend, and possibly.
Did he tell you, did he move at that point? Was he living somewhere other than Queens?
I believe he was still in Queens until end of October or so. I'm not exactly sure when he moved, but I believe he moved in 2012.
And did he tell you where he moved to?
No,
Did he tell Leah where he moved to?
I don't believe she knew.
And was that belief based upon what he was having to do with Leah?
Yeah, he was having me lend her some money for a train and then have her come meet her or something.
At some point, did you discover that Niraj's parents knew about Leah?
Yes, I later found out they knew about her and she was staying at the family house together.
Okay, and what did that make you think? What did you think based upon that revelation?
And when you think about the objects that were at my sister's place, if they knew about her, she would probably wonder why they belonged to them, so it didn't make sense to me.
Okay. So you didn't know why the bag was still there?
No.
What did you do? What action did you take?
I come with Niraj, I asked him to remove the bags from my sister's place. He agreed, next step he said he was going to do that.
And did he do that?
He never did.
Did he in fact make a request of you regarding the items that were in Artie's place?
Yeah, later he had mentioned, I think in person or on phone to dump these objects as well. Same as last time.
And when you say the same as last time, what are you talking about?
Just dump them in multiple locations.
So he was now asking you to dump the items that were in the bag at Artie's place in different locations. Was he describing them the same as you described the items that were in the bag at your house?
I don't think he described them after that point,
But he was making the same request.
but same process.
And did you find that odd?
I did. I didn't realize or think it was in it, and wonder that's probably more than
I think you just need to keep your voice
So
down.
I'm wondering that it's probably marijuana.
Can you just turn that up a little? I'm having a hard time hearing you. You had previous to this seen socialized with Niraj Patel quite frequently, fair to say?
Yes.
And how, if anything, did that change after the move?
After he moved from Queens, I really noticed It was a little bit unusual, but he was, much further away.
What, as time progressed, what action did you take with respect to this bag and your contact with either Niraj or Sham Patel?
I continued contacting Niraj, and I wasn't really getting a response back that I wanted for him to take the bag. So I tried contacting his brother to get in touch with Niraj to get the bag.
And did you have any success with them talking to you over the phone?
I didn't have any success with that.
Did this continue for some time?
It went on for, 6 to 8 months.
Did there come a time when you received a rather distraught call from your sister Ari?
Yes, in April or early May, she had called me upset that she had opened bags and she saw a gun in there and another box, and she was very upset. So I told her, just don't contact anyone, don't do anything, and I came over there from it.
And when you got over to the apartment, what did you see?
She had the objects out of the box, a black shotgun, and a bulletproof vest.
And what did you do at that point?
I opened the corner of the box, saw a magazine inside there, and consulted my sister, and then I told her not to contact them or anybody. I'll get in touch with them and try to get them to the bag.
Now, at this point, how were you feeling?
I was pretty stressed, pretty worried about what we had.
What, if anything, did you do as far as contacting Niraj?
I texted him and called and repeated the same information it was that I was able to do what he was requested.
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
It is very hard to hear.
So in terms of, you just trying to project your voice to the people in the back of the building.
Sure.
The calendar and so on, and it's really. Just imagine you're speaking to the person calling back, okay?
Sure.
Let's turn it down. We'll try and get you to speak up, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So what, if any, action did you take to try and contact Niraj?
I tried to contact Niraj through calls, like I saw him in a little family event. And he also texted or called his brother to try to get in touch with Niraj.
And did either of them pick up the bag?
I didn't get the bag.
At some point, did you send Sham, his brother, a text asking him to pick up the bag of drugs?
I had asked him to pick up the bag, but he didn't acknowledge what I was talking about and changed the subject.
In fact, what was the text that he sent back when he requested that he or Niraj get the bag?
Objection, here, sir.
Question is, what did he text back? What's the statement?
I'm not offering it for the truth or not. Let me see if I can do this a different way. It's actually almost riskiest. When he sent you back a text in response, did he identify the items in the bag?
Object, it's hearsay. In the question.
As a result of that text message that you received back from Sham, what was the impression you got?
that he didn't want to acknowledge the bag.
And this was in writing between the two of you, the text message, right?
That's correct.
At some point, did you become aware that your cousins were arrested and charged with crimes in conjunction with the incident with Patel's house?
Yes, a day after the arrest, I checked my voicemails. I was out the night before and my phone wasn't working, so when I got to my office, turned my phone on, I heard voicemails from my parents, some of my other cousins, and I called my parents and actually told them. That's when I went online and just saw some local Connecticut articles on.
And what did you think at that point? What did you think at that point? What effect did that have on you?
And I just, brought up the items out of my sister's apartment, was suspicious what relation they had with their arrest. And I contacted my sister and had her to figure out what we can do.
Did this cause you any distress?
Yes, very much so.
How did it cause you distress?
I was, not sleeping well, worried about me and my sister getting involved in something we had no idea about, and just kind of stuck with these items and didn't know what the most responsible thing to do with it was.
What action did you then take?
We researched an amnesty programs that I've seen in the news over years. Went online and saw that there was a precinct in Queens that had the gun amnesty program, and then we decided to do that next week.
And then what action did you take? What did you do?
I had my car and I went to my sister's apartment. She brought the bags. I believe we had 1 or 2 bags. She put them in and brought them to the car. We drove to the police station together. We went inside and gave the 3 items to the officer.
Sir, show me what's been marked States Exhibit 45. Does this look familiar to you? What does this look like to you?
It's a box that was sister's apartment before we read the amnesty program.
If not this box, one that's exactly like it.
A similar black box.
Did it have this white stuff on it at the time that you saw it?
I don't remember. I remember the inside, but I don't remember any white stuff on the outside.
Showing you States Exhibit 46. Is this the magazine that you talked about, the one similar to it that you saw?
Yes.
And that was within the pistol box?
Yes, it was.
Now showing you States Exhibit 47. Do you remember this item?
Not specifically, but the first real look I had inside was at
So this could have been in that box, and it was delivered to the police? So I'm going to show you a photo from States Exhibit 44, photo designated number 17. Can you see the screen, sir?
Yes.
Does that, the photo of that item, that gun look familiar to you?
Yes, it looks like the one we turned
Same color, same length of barrel,
Yes.
similar grip?
I can't see it.
Would you like to step down, sir?
I can see it.
Here, I'll move out of the way.
Yeah, it looks like a similar one.
You can't know for sure, of course, if the gun in that photo is the one that you and Artie turned over to the police.
No, my memory is plus I was pretty stressed and worried about it the whole time, so.
But your memory of the gun is that it looked just like that.
Yes, well checked.
Were those items transferred to the possession of the New York Police Department?
Yes, it was.
And did the police ask any questions, despite the fact that it was an amnesty program?
They asked my sister where she got them from.
Okay, and was that expected?
No, it was not. We didn't think we would have to say anything.
Why did you and your sister turn them into the police?
It's just the most responsible and safest thing to do. Neither of us were willing to dump it and have kids or somebody or get into wrong possession, be a danger.
Were you concerned that you might face charges in New York related to your possession of these items?
Yes.
Why was that?
I'm familiar with the New York stance on items, and I knew they weren't mine and weren't registered to me. I knew it's not a legal thing to have in New York, so it worried me, and plus I didn't know what relation they had to the arrest.
To their, meaning Niraj and the other present arrest for the charges related to the homicide.
That's correct.
Now, despite the fact that you were concerned, did you agree to speak to Connecticut authorities regarding these items?
I did, yes.
And did you talk to an attorney before you did that?
I did.
Did you enter into a cooperation agreement with the state of Connecticut which discussed liability for any potential criminal acts that might have occurred in New York?
I did, yes.
State 55 for ID.
No objection.
That was offered as a full exhibit.
You just identified it?
Yes. One second. This is a letter of agreement between the state of Connecticut and Patel Patel dated 11/13/15.
Right. No objection to the offer? No. Let me remarks the full exhibit, states 55.
Sir, showing you states exhibit 55, do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
Letter of agreement to cooperate with Connecticut.
And you signed this, sir, is that above your printed name, Patel Patel?
Yes, it is.
I signed it. It's in your presence.
Yes,
Your attorney signed it,
that's correct.
and the state's attorney for judicial district signed it. this agreement, did you promise to cooperate fully and to testify truthfully at any trials and proceedings related to this case, this incident involving the death of Luke Vitalis?
Yes.
And specifically, did you promise to cooperate fully and testify truthfully related to the bag of items that Niraj Patel dropped at your house and your sister's house, and his request that you dispose of those items in different locations?
Yes.
In exchange, did the state of Connecticut communicate with the New York DA's office and confirm that they were not going to prosecute you for any offenses, if there were any such offenses to be prosecuted for?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and furthermore, the state of Connecticut assured you that they would not prosecute you, that there was not even any offense that the state felt that we could prosecute you for?
That's correct.
There's a question I failed to ask you about earlier times, and I'm just going to bring you back.
Sure.
Prior to August of 2012, was Niraj Patel, did there come a time when Niraj Patel asked you for money, to borrow money from you? And did he indicate what he needed that money for?
He didn't say specifically, no.
Okay. Were you aware that he was making similar requests of other family members?
I know he had asked another cousin.
Were you able to give him any money?
No, I wasn't.
I have nothing further to add.
Any of your thoughts?
Yes, it'll be a short class, but I think the state's got other witnesses later.
Well, let me just ask this, would it be, I don't know how the process could be, would it be better to hold off and go to lunch and then do the process?
I can do it in 10 minutes. But if the state has other witnesses, so we're coming back anyway.
Right, so why don't we suspend at this point? We'll continue her cross-examination when we return. We've gone over our time a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to excuse you from the all members of the present. And ask that Mr. Patel will get called to the witness stand.
Tell me, would it be fair to characterize your relationship with Niraj as close? Yes. And you would do things together with him, right? Yes. Watch sporting events, your place or his place? Yes. Because in Queens, where he lived and you lived, you weren't that far apart, right? No. 10 minutes by foot? 10, 15. All right. So you talk on the phone periodically, right? Sure. And you go and watch sporting events and you have dinner together? Sometimes, yes. All right. And the other thing you did together is you smoke grass. Right? Sometimes maybe. Well, when you say sometimes maybe, would you smoke grass with him, for example, when you were watching sporting events? Sometimes, yeah. And would you smoke grass on other occasions with him? Such as whatever. We were eating, possibly. Have a marijuana cigarette, right? And so that's something that you did on a regular basis with your cousin, Niraj. Yes. Now, as I understand, and did you learn during the period involved here, let's say from 2012 to 2013, that my client got a job in an insurance company? Yes, it is. And was that, if you know, American Income Life? I'm not sure of the name of the insurance company, but you know. You just gotta speak a little louder.
I don't know if anybody's coming.
All right. But there came a point in time between August 6, 2012, the date of the homicide, and thereafter, that your cousin, my client, got a job at an insurance company, right?
Yes.
And you know what he did for the insurance company?
I believe he sold insurance.
Okay. Annuities,
I'm not sure.
life policies?
I believe life policies.
Okay. And you know, generally, was that in February of 2013?
Was he working there then?
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure, but possibly.
Okay. Now, the date of the homicide was August 6, 2012. I'm just saying that we've had evidence to that effect. And, Your Honor, we have an agreement that the date of my client's arrest was September 11, 2013.
It's agreed?
Yes, that's true, Your Honor.
Right, proceed.
So from the date of the homicide to the date of my client's arrest was about 1 year and 1 month. Okay? Just so you got that as your reference. Now, when's the first time you saw the black bag with the stuff in it?
In early August,
In August. And where did you see it?
in my apartment.
In your apartment. Did you bring it there?
No.
Do you know how it got there?
I believe Niraj brought it there.
Okay. So sometime in August, he delivers this black bag in your apartment, right?
Yes.
And I assume you did not know at that time that there was an active state police investigation into the homicide.
That's correct.
Okay. So he leaves the bag with you, and during that period, no, you got the bag, and then how did it end up with your sister?
The bag I had in mind is gone, and then I don't know if it's the same bag, but my sister told me that he had left.
With your sister?
He had left.
In her apartment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when was the first time you called my client to take the bag out of your place?
In August, a few days to a week after he had left it.
Okay. So in August, he didn't do it, right? He didn't take it out.
No.
And when did he get to your sister's? Was it next month or same month or what?
I believe the end of August or early September.
Okay. And either you or your sister called my client numerous times to get the bag out of either your apartment or your sister's apartment, right?
Yes.
And you just never came and got it, right?
Yes.
And at some point, he asked you to throw away the contents of the bag, right?
Yes.
He asked you to put them in a dumpster.
Yes.
Do you know when he asked you that? When approximately he asked you that?
In August to September of 2012.
So right away, shortly after you had it, August of 2012, right?
Yes.
And then did he ask you again to get rid of the bag? The contents of the bag?
I'm not sure if it was again, but all times in August and September.
So we know in August he didn't come to get the bag, right? And that's through September, October, November, December, right? Didn't get the bag. And then January, February, March of 2013, did he come to get the bag? No?
No.
Okay. When did you and your sister go to the police in connection with this amnesty program?
I believe it was a week after the arrest.
The week after my client's arrest?
All
Huh?
My cousin's arrest.
Yeah.
So a week after the 11th of September.
And we stipulated the date of the arrest was September 11, 2013 for the homicide.
Yes.
So it was a week after that, you then brought the bag to the New York police?
Yes.
Okay. So that means that January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, client never came to get the bag.
Yes.
And incidentally, with regard to the items that were in the bag, you identified them today as your history also did. Was there a manual for a Ruger 40 pistol? Was there a manual in the bag for a Ruger 40 pistol?
I don't believe so.
Was there anything, to your knowledge, preventing my client from going to your apartment or your sister's apartment, taking the bag and throwing the contents in a dumpster? Anything preventing him from doing that, as far as you know?
No.
He asked you to do it, right?
Yes.
But there was nothing preventing him from doing it himself, right?
That's correct.
Mr. Leblinas, might be a question to ask. You claim that Niraj had a key to your apartment? So he could let himself in at any time. Did he have a key to your sister's apartment? If you know.
No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe so.
Would you and Niraj and your sister be at her apartment together at any time?
Yes.
And how many times?
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
On those occasions, that either you or your sister say to Niraj, get this black bag out of here.
Not before the bag was there.
Now, but I'm saying when you all were together in her apartment, where was the black bag?
We were never together when the bag was there. We were together at her apartments prior.
Oh, before the bag, you mean before 2012?
Before August 6th, over
Okay.
the summer.
All right. So you never, the three of you were never together at her apartment when she had the black bag?
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Can you redirect?
Just briefly. Niraj Patel, when he asked you to dispose of those items, he asked you to dispose of them in different locations, each item, right?
Yes.
Nothing.
Nothing further.
See, he's recalling Dan Slade. Governor, I do have several stipulations as to chain of custody that defense counsel and I agreed upon as well.
I would like to address that. Can we do that now, Mr. Slavin?
Maybe we can do it before this was signed. I have them marked as states exhibits.
What is this for ID or just?
Over, also be part of the initiative.
It's 56, 57, and 58 for ID.
Could you identify each of those, please?
56 is a joint stipulation as to chain of custody with respect to Connecticut State Police Exhibits 10, 11, 17, 20, 21, 22, and 33. States Exhibit 57 for ID is a joint stipulation as to chain of custody with respect to Connecticut State Police Exhibit 100. And States 58 is a joint stipulation as to chain of custody with respect to the Mossberg 500 shotgun, the River pistol case, the River SR40, Smith & Wesson magazine, the round loader, and the bulletproof vest. Those are full. These are originals signed by both parties.
Can you, I'm sorry, tell me one more regarding 56, chain of custody regarding what this exhibit is what? I'm sorry.
10, 11, 17, 20, 21, 22, and
34?
33.
33. All right, thank you. You offer those as full exhibits?
I would.
Any objection? No objection?
No.
Maybe marked as full exhibit states 56, 57, and 58. All right, sir, further, you want to do with these at this time?
May I publish them to the jury at this time, at a minimum one? I may have time right now, so
Can
maybe I
you,
can publish
can you
them.
do it by reading them?
I can read them, yes.
Okay, that'd be faster.
Thank you. States Exhibit 56 full. Joint stipulation is to chain of custody. The state and the defendant hereby agree to the following facts proving chain of custody. On or about August 7, 2012, Detective Arthur Walker of the Western District Major Crime Unit seized the following items from 399 Cornwall Bridge Road, Sharon, Connecticut. Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 10, one brass colored 40 caliber R-P Smith & Wesson shell casing. Connecticut State Police Exhibit 11, one brass colored 40 caliber R-P Smith & Wesson shell casing. Connecticut State Police Exhibit 17, one brass colored 40 caliber R-P Smith & Wesson shell casing. Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 20, one piece of copper jacket fragment. Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 21, one lead projectile. Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 22, one piece of copper jacket fragment. And on or about August 8, 2012, Detective Arthur Walkley of the Western District Major Crime Unit seized the following item from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner after the medical examiner removed said item from the head of the decedent from plate tiles. Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 33, one lead projectile. Detective Walkley maintained exclusive possession of these exhibits until he secured them in the Western District Major Crime Evidence Room. On or about August 9, 2012, Detective Franklin Gavin of the Western District Major Crime Unit transported Connecticut State Police Exhibits 10, 11, 17, 20, 21, 22, and 33 to the Connecticut Division of Scientific Services Forensic Laboratory in Meriden, Connecticut, where possession of them was transferred to the evidence receiving officer, at which time said items were placed into a locked evidence locker. On diverse dates, forensic examiners at the Connecticut Division of Scientific Services Forensic Laboratory took possession of Connecticut State Police Exhibits 10, 11, 17, 20, 21, 22, and 33 in their original sealed packaging for examination. At all times, these items were maintained in locked evidence lockers and not in possession of the forensic examiners for examination. States Exhibit 57, joint stipulation as to chain of custody. The state and the defendant hereby agree to the following facts proving chain of custody. On or about March 31, 2015, Western District Major Crime Detectives Matthew Riley and Michael Simons seized one bag containing one .40 caliber R-P Smith & Wesson casing from Brendan Moore as Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 100. On or about March 31, 2015, Detective Riley secured Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 100 in the Western District Major Crime Evidence Room. On or about April 2, 2015, Detective Riley photographed and packaged and sealed Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 100 and secured it in the Western District Major Crime Evidence Room. On or about May 5th, 2015, Western District Crime Detective Stephen Repsis transported Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 100 to the Connecticut Division of Scientific Services Forensic Laboratory in Meriden, Connecticut, where possession of the item was transferred to the evidence receiving officer, at which time said item was placed into a locked evidence locker. On a date or diverse dates, forensic examiners at the Connecticut Division of Scientific Services Forensic Laboratory took possession of Connecticut State Police Exhibit number 100 in its original sealed packaging for examination. At all times, the item was maintained in the locked evidence locker when not in the possession of forensic examiners for examination. State's Exhibit number 58, joint stipulation as to chain of custody. The state and defendant hereby agree to the following facts for the chain of custody. On September 25th, 2013, at approximately 8:30 p.m., Officer John Christie Burnell of the 107th Precinct of the New York City Police Department took possession of the following items from Artie Patel under New York City complaint number 2013-110-06790. One Mossberg 500 shotgun serial number T274817. One Ruger pistol case. One Ruger SR40 40 caliber Smith & Wesson magazine. One round loader and one bulletproof vest JHRG LFC 0022760. And secured these items in sealed packaging in the custody of the New York City Police Department. On September 22, 2015, New York State Police Senior Investigator George McClarty seized all of these items in their original sealed packaging, except the bulletproof vest, which had already been destroyed, from the New York City Police Department. On September 22, 2015, New York State Police Senior Investigator George McClarty transferred possession of these seized items in their original sealed packaging to Connecticut State Police Detective Peter Pinelli. On September 23, 2015, Connecticut State Police Detectives Peter Pinelli and Michael Fitzsimons photographed and repackaged these items as Connecticut State Police exhibits as follows. Connecticut State Police Exhibit 130, one Mossberg 500 shotgun, serial number T274817. Connecticut State Police Exhibit 131, one Ruger pistol case. Connecticut State Police Exhibit 132, one Ruger SR40 40 caliber Smith & Wesson magazine. And CSP Exhibit 133, one round loader. These items were then secured within the Western District Major Crime Evidence Room. On September 24, 2015, Trooper First Class Keith Asman transferred possession of these seized items to the Evidence Collection Officer at the Connecticut State Forensic Lab in Meriden, who in turn provided the seized evidence to the various examiners who examined the property. On diverse dates, forensic examiners at the Connecticut Division of Scientific Services Forensic Laboratory took possession of Connecticut State Police Exhibits 130, 131, 132, and 133 in their original Connecticut State Police sealed packaging for examination. At all times, these items were maintained in locked evidence lockers when not in the possession of forensic examiners for examination. All stipulations signed by counsel for the defendant in the statement. At this time, the state calls Dan Slavy to stand. Please call Dan Slavy.
So my notes are correct. We will allow us to continue to January 7th. We will pass the
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God or unless you perjure. Would you please state your name and business address for records?
Last name is Sliby, S-L-I-B-Y. First name is Daniel, 452A, Bantam Road, Litchfield, Connecticut.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Honor, please.
For ID. 60, ID.
ID. 62 for ID. 63 for ID. 64 for ID. Detective Simon, you earlier testified that you were responsible for taking screenshots of the screens of information on one of the cell phones located in Luke Vitale's bedroom at 399 Cornwall Bridge Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that particular phone was seized as Connecticut State Police Exhibit 7.
Correct.
Showing you, sir, what have been marked states 59 through 63. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes, sir.
Are those photos of screens of, are they screenshots of photos, excuse me, let's back up. Are they screenshots of screens on State Police Exhibit 7, Lou Vitalis' cell phone?
Yes, sir.
And are these photos, the photos taken by Detective Jupin from Forensic Lab?
Yes, sir.
Okay, these are the same photos,
Same.
but Detective Jupin's were better quality.
Correct.
For the proceeding. Okay. And are these fair and accurate depictions of the screens that you saw when you took your screenshots?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer these as full.
Motion.
States 59, 60, 61, 62, and 63 will be marked as full exhibits.
All right, this time may I publish these to the jury simply by reading them?
Yes.
Thank you. States Exhibit 59 full. View contact, big dollar sign. 1-860-309-4047. 1-203-770-0806. 1-860-733-5134. States Exhibit 60, inbox from big dollar sign. Yeah, I told him how it's going to be. It's cool. I'll be there in an hour. Sent Sunday, received Sunday, August 5th, 4:38 p.m. States Exhibit 61, outbox, 2 big dollar sign. I'll be back at 15 after that work. Sent Sunday, August 5th, 5:33 p.m. States Exhibit 62, outbox, 2 big dollar sign. Be there in 5. Sent Sunday, August 5th, 6:10 p.m. States Exhibit 63, inbox, from big dollar sign. Cool, I just got here, another message. Received Sunday, August 5th, 6:10 p.m. Detective Slidey, did you also, in the course of your investigation and duties in this case, download by the Cellbrite examination that you had earlier explained to the jury on a prior date, Connecticut State Police Exhibit 8, the other phone that was seized from Rick Vitalis' room at 399 Cornwall Bridge Road?
Yes, it is.
And on that earlier date, did we put in one page of a contact list? Of a multi-page contact list? Specifically, the page containing contact number 26, Patel, Niraj.
Yes.
But you did, in fact, download the complete contact list, is that correct?
That's correct.
Showing you what has been marked States Exhibit 64 for ID. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, sir.
What do you recognize that to be?
This is it's a printable format of a cell phone extraction on a Motorola XT91.
And is that the contact list that you extracted via the Cellbrite extraction from Rick Vitalis' other cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Is this an inaccurate download of the list? I'd offer it as full. I'd offer this as full.
Are you going to use it?
It's being offered as full. Okay. Any remarks before exhibits, page 64?
Detective Slidey, in that contact list at entry number 51, is there a name? P space Sham with a contact number of 860-213-2277.
Yes, sir.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Captain Detective Slidey.
Go ahead.
Now, the screenshots of the text with big money, those are from August 5th, right?
That's correct.
And the date of the homicide is August 6th, right?
That's correct.
And now, big money That's not Niraj Patel, right?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Is Big Money Bryce McGuire?
Objection, speculation.
Do you know?
If you know.
I do not know.
Now, looking at this contact list, as we went over the other day when you were here, contact, Niraj Patel is contact number 26. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And now that's one contact, right? On the list?
That is one contact on the list.
And total on the list, there are 74 people in this phone, right?
Service managers, correct.
Yes. And this is Luke's phone, right?
This is the phone that was seized from the group, correct.
Okay. And so, do you know how many of these people on this list are drug dealers?
I do not.
Do you know how many people on this list use drugs or buy drugs?
I do not.
Okay. Garrett Thompson is on this list, do you recall?
I would have to see it again.
Okay. Could I show you to refresh your recollection? Now, Garrett Thompson, do you know if he sells drugs?
I don't know.
Do you know if he buys drugs?
I don't know.
Do you recall if Jesse Fitch is the name on this list?
If you read it from the list, I think this is.
If I were to show you, could you refresh your recollection?
No, I feel very. Yes.
So Jesse Fitch is on the list, right?
He is on the list.
And he sells drugs. Do you know that?
I don't know that.
Well, generally, you're aware that Luke Vitalis didn't just do drug deals with Niraj Patel, right?
I don't know that.
Okay. Well, based on your review of the text messages, it seems like Niraj, or that Luke Patel, sets up a drug deal with someone other than the Niraj Patel contact, right?
I could make that assumption, yes.
Okay. And so Luke is setting up drug deals with at least one other person on this August 5th date, right? One other person other than Niraj Patel on that August 5th date, right?
It appears that way, yes.
And generally, from your experience, drug dealers don't just have one person they buy from or sell to, right?
I could speculate that.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time
He
hearing.
said you could not speculate as to that.
Now, Luke's phone, we have 74 contacts here, correct?
Yes.
But we don't have all the text messages between this phone and those contacts, right?
We do not. Not enough work.
Okay. So there could have been a number of deals set up with any one of these contacts before those text messages were erased, right?
Could be.
Okay. Thank you. That's really much.
That's the state's last
The contact
witness.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we noted in the past, sometimes we go faster than we think we will. This concludes the evidence that will be presented today, which means since Monday is a holiday, and we have other matters that we're due in the court after the weekend, the court will be occupied with other things. We won't see you until Wednesday. It's a long time. So it's always important. I mean, it's even more important when we have such a hiatus that you keep in mind at all times the rules of your conduct. That you call your oath, or discuss the case with anybody, with each other, or family members, anyone during investigations, including law. Thank you again for your attention and your patience. I hope you have a safe, peaceful weekend, and we will see you at 9:30 on next Wednesday. All right. You will take your notebooks with you to the jury room